Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have another house tutorial inspired by ancient Greece. This particular house today is inspired by some houses in Assassin's Creed Origins, particularly in Alexandria, Crocodilopolis and Cyrene, as well as a lot of the art done by Jean Claude Golvin of Hellenistic cities in the Mediterranean. But it's mostly designed for Minecraft and survival and whatnot. So yeah, it's a pretty fun one, has lots of space, 4 floors, it's pretty survival friendly, but yeah, let's get to it. So we're going to be building off a large footprint, 18 by 12 by 14, and here we can see we've got sandstone placed down at the bottom. This is what you're going to be using as your building base. You've got a bit of andesite, a bit of wool, a bit of yellow terracotta, and then there's some quartz blocks down here. So this is already set up, so feel free to pause the video to try and help yourself set up. And yeah, we're going to go straight into step 1. So for step 1, we're just going to be placing some yellow terracotta blocks along the floor like so. So we're going to keep following around the border. And you'll see we're going to form some outer walls for the little garden space, and then some pillars in the front which are going to be used for the later stages to base the front of the building off of. Now as you can see here, we're cutting a couple of holes for doors and a little bit of a stair core in the middle, so we've got a stair that runs all the way up to the 3rd floor, and then it continues into a ladder as you turn into the loft area. And here we've got a little kitchen space and a little bit of a living room area that we're going to be building, that is adjacent to the garden space and the front door. So what we're building here is a bit of a cool candlestick holder, where you basically place 2 lightning rods, you delete the bottom, and then you replace the bottom one off the top, and you get this cool little shape. And so we're on to step 2. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be placing some more yellow terracotta on top of the blocks that we had already placed before, like so. So we're going to run along this back wall and around the kitchen area and the living room area. And what we're not going to do is we're not going to place on top of the garden wall, we're going to place some brick slabs as like a little shield on top. And then we're going to place some doors in the front, and then we're going to place some banners along this wall. And there you have it. But we've also got to do the stairs as well. So if you fill in the stairs, it's basically going to be a bit of a single stair with a landing and then another stair. So on to step 3, and in step 3 we're going to be placing chiseled quartz on top of all of these yellow blocks. And these are going to form the arches of the bottom. So we've got a little bit of a portico at the bottom, and this is going to run all the way along the top. And then what we're going to do is, to get all of the arch shapes, we're going to place some upside down stairs, but these are upside down quartz stairs. But these are not smooth quartz stairs like the stairs, they're actually quartz block stairs, so you get a bit of that chiseled texture to them. And what we're doing here is we're going to be placing some bamboo signs along the top of this wall to get like a nice gold stripe that runs along the side of the building, and it gives a cool little detail. But it's a bit of an expensive option for survival. The building still looks good without it, but it's an extra detail if you're in creative or if you've got a lot of bamboo in your world, so it's a fun one to add. Now in this step we're going to be placing in the floor, so we're going to be placing in spruce planks, and we're going to be running these along the top of that chiseled quartz, but we're going to be leaving gaps. So at the moment we're basically adding the corner blocks, and then between those we're going to be placing upside down spruce stairs. Now this is adding a bit of depth and gives a nice look to the timber floor texture. And then on the outside, we're going to be adding a little bit of a balcony base. So at the front, we've got a bit of a balcony. This house has quite a few balconies on it, in fact. And then on the inside, we're going to be adding a little bit of texture. So in terms of the ceiling, so we're going to be adding in our chisel quartz blocks in the middle, around the stairs. Now for our next step, we're going to be placing smooth quartz blocks along the top. And these are going to form the outer wall of the second floor, or the first floor, depending on where you are. If you're in the States, it's the second floor. If you're in the UK, first floor. Now we're going to be making a nice little balcony at the front. This is going to be your first bedroom space. So you've got a couple of bedrooms in this, and then you're going to use bamboo trapdoors to make a nice little screen. And this will run on most of the floors, but here we've got separate bedroom. And then we're going to be placing some of the bigger decorated pots around. These pots are really good for these Greek builds, and particularly ancient builds, because they look like old pots. It's quite cool. And we're going to be adding in a few details. So on the edge, we're going to be placing some of the bamboo signs. Now, if you want to know how you place these without having to edit the text every time, if you press Control and then the middle mouse button in Creative, you should be able to pick up one of these, and you can just place them as you want. So nice. The next bit, so we're going to be making our wall a little bit higher. We're going to be putting in our windows. So we're going to be just running again some quartz and some terracotta along the top. You can kind of see a bit of a theme going along here, but that's going to run along the top of these walls, and then you'll see we're going to be putting a couple of openings for windows as well. And then in the windows, we're going to be placing trapdoors on the top of the block. So at the front, we're going to be using jungle trapdoors, but on the sides, we're going to be using bamboo trapdoors. And this makes a nice little window frame detail on all of these buildings. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding a couple of these trapdoors on the side of the building, and they add a little bit of detail, a little bit of texture to the side. They look like quite cool, Greeky sort of patterny textures. And then yeah, we're going to be just extending the screen and then the stairs as well. Now on to our next step. So we're going to be placing some extra terracotta, and we're going to be doing as we've been doing all along. So we're going to be placing blocks on the top as so. And these are going to run all the way along the top and the sides. And then we're going to do a little bit of a thing here. So this is a bit of a mistake in the video, so ignore the bits where it says jungle trapdoors. We're going to put the jungle fence gates, put spruce fence gates instead, so I later correct this in this video. But again, we're going to be putting the bamboo signs along the top, and it gives a bit of detail, and then our trapdoors again to finish off our screen for the bedroom. And here we are just finishing off this bit of the stair, and we're going to place an upside down stair underneath, and as you can see, you can fit very nicely under the bottom. Now you can see I'm just correcting that bit, and we're going to be moving on to the planks. So again, like we did with the other floor, going to be putting the floor in, so we're going to be placing the corner blocks. And then again, we're going to be coming along the top with the upside down stairs. So putting in another balcony, and then we're going to be putting in the ceiling pattern again in the ceiling, so you get a nice cool texture. And this is done by upside down stairs. So you place upside down stairs, you get a bit of a gap. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, it's a bit more difficult to do, but I quite like it. It adds quite a lot of texture, and you know, it makes the ceiling feel a bit bigger. These are pretty high ceilings, they're 3 tall, but it makes it 3.5 in some areas, you know, so you get a bit more of that height to the building. But it also looks like you've got nice planks of wood that are running across the top of the ceiling as well. And then here we're going to be placing one of these fence gates, which is going to have a pot on top, as well as we're going to be adding another slot for a balcony. Now this balcony on the side doesn't actually have any use, so you could remove it if you wanted to. I quite like that it just exists, it looks quite cool. And then on this side we're going to add a little space for some azalea leaves, so we're going to have leaves growing up the side of this building. Now we're going to start with the next floor. We're going to be running all of these smooth blocks, smooth quartz, all along the sides, as we've done with other floors. And a note for this, so this building, we're building it up to being 4 floors. Now, you could build this to be 3 floors, 2 floors if you wanted to. Any of these floors you could stop at pretty much, and then you could build the roof on top with the little terrace or without a terrace, because pretty much they work quite well. If you just build the first 2 floors and then you just put the single bedroom and the single stairs going up, you just put a roof on top, it looks quite nice, even without all of the floors in. So depending on how much space you need in your survival or in your creative world, you could build 2 floors, 3 floors, or 4 floors, or you could start building with 2 floors, then get more materials, build 3 floors, and then again you could build the 4th floor when you're running out of space and you need more storage. So we're going to be doing a bit of interior work again, so we're going to be putting some bookshelves. You could make these some of the chiseled bookshelves as well, so you could add some books into them, or lecterns too. Going to be adding a bit of a chair here, but you could easily make this another bedroom. You could put more beds, or you could put more storage. This sphere for here is just purely for show. And then we're going to add some carpets in as well. And again, we're going to be doing the same, so adding some little slots for windows. And as you can see, so we're going to be cutting off this balcony. Now, you could, in theory, if you really wanted to, you could make this balcony functional, so you can access it. I didn't really need a use for the balcony, so I just thought, okay, stick it on the side, looks quite cool. But I'd rather have some bookshelves at the end of the stairs. But you could just cut the bookshelves out, put them somewhere else, and use the balcony. And again here we're just going to be placing trapdoors again on the top of this block to make the window frame. Now in this section here we're going to be using mangrove signs on the side, so you get a nice red stripe that runs along. Now mangrove in survival, unless you have a mangrove biome quite close to you, it's, you know, a bit of a expensive material, but it's a very pretty one and it looks quite nice in this example. Now I'm just realising there's a bit of a mistake with this balcony, so we've got to remove a little bit. So as we'll see, I'm going to remove these bits here, and you're going to place them on the inside, just so you've got space. So this one is purely decorational, this balcony. And here is me trying to fix it. So we're going to put the signs along the edge. And what we're not doing in this build is we're not actually putting any of these signs on the back, because if it's a townhouse, chances are you're going to have some houses to the back of it, maybe completely adjacent. And oftentimes if you've got signs at the back, it's a bit of dead space. So it's a bit difficult to place these. And here again, just fixing that balcony. So you want to place those blocks on the inside. And what we're going to do with the railings for the fence, the railings for the stairs, we're just going to be extending those up to the ceiling, as well as these bookshelves and the screening that splits the room up, and you get a nice little room. Now here are just placing more of these azalea leaves on the side, and then we're going to be running some more of these smooth quartz blocks on the top, but we're going to be placing upside down smooth quartz stairs on these blocks. And here we are. So this one doesn't actually have a trapdoor on it, so I decided to leave this one. You could add trapdoors, and then we're going to put an upside down stair as well there. And on this window, you probably get the idea right now. And then all along the top, and again some smooth quartz stairs. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sealing these balconies. So we're going to be putting spruce slabs on top of these balconies, so you get a nice enclosed balcony that's shaded. And then again, we're just going to be extending the thing up to the ceiling as we've done before. So now we're just going to be placing more flooring. So again, it's the same as all floors. But this one, it's a bit altered. So we have a similar idea, but this time rather than the planks, the gaps in the floor running front to back, it's going to be running side to side, as you'll see later on. Like so. So here we are just filling in, so we're just going to fill in from the edges. Like so, just run around all the back and on the top of this bit here. Cut a hole for your ladder. And then we're going to be placing upside down stairs on this side. But then on this side, with this 3 gap, we don't have a 2 gap, so what we're going to do is we're going to place stairs upside down here. Upside down stairs on this side as well, and then we're going to be placing slabs in the middle. So just take a slab from over here, and it's going to go all the way along the top. Now the top floor, which is more of a loft than the top floor, is very easy. So we're just going to place chisel quartz blocks along the top. And then as we get to the middle, we're just going to start furnishing it with barrels and chests and scaffolding, all sorts of stuff. I mean, you could, if you're in survival, just put chests or barrels all over the place. Maximise your storage because it's right at the top of the house. But also we've got a bit of a terrace on top as well. But you could also make this an enchanting room or bedroom or all sorts of things. But it's right at the top of the building. And on this outer fence, we're going to have an area where it's 2 fence gates rather than just 1. And we want that in line with where those 2 gaps are with the upside down stairs. I'm going to put a trapdoor, and we're going to put some bushes on the top. And we're going to be using the flowering azalea again. It's quite pretty. Now for the top, we're going to be adding a bit of colours. So we're going to be using cyan concrete in this example, but you could use really any colour concrete. Red goes quite well. green goes quite well as well with the yellow. You could even just do it white, or you could do it yellow again. It really depends on what you want, what you have. You could do it black as well, grey, really any colour. But I'm doing it cyan in this example. It looks quite nice with the yellow. We're going to put spruce fences in the windows. So this being a bit more of a loft, we're not going to make the nice windows, we're just going to put the typical just fences in. And we're going to put some mangrove doors at the back, but you could use spruce doors or really anything. And extend the bushes upwards. And we're going to place some more chests and some more barrels. Bit of extra storage. And we're just going to be running again along the top, more cyan concrete. And on the front, we're going to be placing some spruce fence gates. Now these are going to act like a little support for the roof that's going to overhang the top. So we're going to put a brick roof on top, and it's going to run along these sides. We're going to place slabs along these sides, but we're going to overhang at the front. So it's only going to overhang at the front, and on the sides it's going to lay right on top of the cyan concrete, or whatever colour concrete you're using. Then we're going to put whole blocks of bricks in the middle, like so. Then on the top of the middle block, of the blocks in the middle, we're going to place brick slabs on the top, because it will make the ceiling look quite nice, and it will slope in quite nicely. And then on top again, we're going to place brick slabs. And then in the middle, we're going to place whole blocks of bricks. And there you go, your roof is finished. Now we're just going to go through the building and add a couple of details in, but pretty much your building's finished. The house is finished, you've got nice 4 floors. But we're going to do a few more details. So we've got the side door to still finish, out to the garden, and we're going to put a little garden here. You could put a little farm down here. The example I showed earlier has a nice olive tree, but in this example we're going to put just a little garden with some rose bushes and some nice bushes along here, some candles and some bushes. Looks quite nice. But really, it could be used for anything. You could use this as a furnace space, or a, you know, an armory space. Loads of anvils, all sort of things. Could even be quite big too. I'm just going to place some orchids and some torch flowers as well. Now inside we need to put our candles on our candlestick, as well as our lanterns. So in these corners you can place lanterns. You can use torches as well, and then in our pots inside we're going to place whatever flowers we want. So we're going to put pots inside them, and then we're going to put some flowers as well as make sure our candle's on. And we'll do the same for all the other floors. So we're going to add some candles in this room. You could add some books to your lectern, or add some books to your bookshelves. Some more lanterns inside, and some more flowers to your flower pot. Now on this floor on the outside, we've got a flower pot on the outside, so we're just going to place some stuff inside. But also we've got that flower pot that's hanging off the window, which we'll see as well. Put some lanterns down. And yes, we've got a flower pot here. And we've got the one outside. And we're going to place an orchid in this one. Now we've got to add an extra ladder here because you can't quite get up. And we just need to finish off this room by adding in some more lanterns. Some extra flower pots, just for extra effects, and more candles. Make it look a bit messy. Extra plants. And we can fix these chests, so we can have more chests. And there we have a nice little terrace out the back. You could add anything to this. I mean, it could be a good place to set off elytras if you've got nice tall mountain or whatever. And there you have it. I hope you really enjoyed this build. I hope it wasn't too complicated and that you enjoyed building it. Here we can just put another armor stand. But yeah, it's a really good one. Good fun. It's got a lot of detail in it, and it's quite big, so you could adapt it for your survival, use any colour that you want, and it's also based on some actual real life buildings out of history. So this was the Hellenistic house 2, ancient Greek house, whatever we want to call it, whatever you guys want to call it. Nice big house. Hope you enjoyed.